All right. Good morning. Good morning from wherever it is that you're joining us from, or good evening or good afternoon. From whichever part of the world it is that you're joining us from. Karibuni sana. Welcome to the Afriforex daily analysis. This beautiful 12th day of November, the year of our Lord 2024. Hope you're well from wherever it is that you're joining us from. Yeah, it's moving pretty fast. My calendar tells me today is actually day 10317 of the year. So we only have about 49 days left before the year is a wrap, like Moy. But thank God for life. So John is my name. I'm a trader with Afriforex. Afriforex is a trading unit. So we also do have Mitch. Of course, he is here. So in case you do have any questions, of course, right now, since we're on YouTube, feel free to ask them on the chat box. We'll see how best we can end up advising you or helping you. So we're going to jump straight into it. So I'll start off by, of course, with the watch list. That's where we always start off each and every morning. So you can see the watch list right there. So the 12th of November, 2024. So you can see there's not been much of a change. Only the New Zealand dollar joining the buy side of things. That's pretty much the only change that we do have right now. Yesterday on the fundamentals, there weren't really that many news events that were there. So, the only ones that we incorporated are these two right here, the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar. So we've already taken and factored that in. Today is not really going to be a quiet day like yesterday on the fundamental front. At least you can see that there are quite a number of news events that are going to be, coming up. Number of GBPs, euros, and of course some USD and some Canadian dollar news events coming out a bit much later. So just today we should possibly end up expecting some moves. So we're going to start off with the currency pairs that we did have yesterday that unfortunately did not make it to our watch list this morning. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities, and you can see the three areas that I had pointed out, ideally the three areas that we're timing to see whether we could get some selling opportunities and also areas where we could manage our trades. Unfortunately, there wasn't any movement on this one. So in the morning, price was here. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get the price, breaking to the downside of this region, or maybe at least coming back in within here. You pretty much can see that there was a lot of inactivity on that one. So unfortunately, moving into today, not really a currency pair that we will be trying to see whether we can get any opportunities. So the next one is the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buys. So in the morning, price was here. I did advise not to look for buys, especially when price was just holding beneath this region to the downside, and you clearly can't see why. So the market broke to the downside. Wanted to see the market break above here, but unfortunately we couldn't get that. And of course, expecting price to come back in within here to possibly see a sign of the big boy buyers coming in. But unfortunately, we also couldn't get that happening yesterday. And you can see that the market has breached to the downside. So unfortunately, also for this one, not really a currency pair that we will be trying to see whether we can get any trades today. And unfortunately, also yesterday, there wasn't much that we could do in terms of looking for buying opportunities. So I guess we can end up shifting gears. Let's look at a couple of screenshots we did get from you guys. So we'll start off with this one. This one is from Bravin. So shout out to you, Bravin. Of course, we do know that we love trading silver. So this is a selling opportunity that you did get somewhere within this region here. Stop loss already way below your point of entry. At least you did get the sell before the market did actually start to move to the downside. This move coming down, and I can see that, of course, in terms of money management, good to see that, once the market started to move in your favor, at least you had secured your profits. So shout out to you for that, Bravin, and of course, keep up the good work. So we also did get a screenshot from Musheke. Musheke, if you're watching, shout out to you. So this is on the US dollar against the Japanese yen. So I can see that we got a buying opportunity on this one. Somewhere within this region, seemed like a very, very good buying opportunity here. And the market pulled back in some sort of a retest, within this area here. And of course, once the market started to move in your favor, at least you should have brought your stop loss, maybe at least within your point of entry, just to make sure that you're securing, your profits in case the market does end up turning around. Because, the Forex markets are quite unpredictable. Things can easily end up turning very, very fast. But in terms of entry, this is very, very well done. So shout out to you for that. And of course, keep up the good work. just make sure that you tighten up on the money management and you should be good. So we also did get some screenshots from Nate. So this is on gold. So I can see that you had gotten a sell on this one. This was seems like on Friday you held on through the whole weekend, and yesterday that's when the market really started to move to the downside. And I can't see that your stop loss is somewhere within here. I don't know if this is another trade that you have somewhere within here or some sort of a pending order, but I can't see that at least your stop loss is already below your point of entry, which is good. But of course, you also can end up securing a bit more. But good to see that you did actually end up getting a sell that was working out on gold, and you also did end up getting one on silver as well. Somewhere within here, market came down. Then I can't see that yesterday. That's when the market really started to move to the downside. In terms of stop loss, I don't know where your stop loss is. There's so many lines. I don't know if it's this one here, but of course, even when the market is down here, at least your stop loss could also be somewhere within this region right here. But of course, shout out to you for that, or those two screenshots right there. So shout out to Nate, Musheke, and Bravin for your screenshots. And of course, we're really happy to see your progress. Remember, guys, if you do get any screenshots, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details should be there on the video description of this video. If you look right beneath, you should find our contact details, and you can send in your screenshots via WhatsApp to us. We'd be more than happy, to see what you guys are up to on the charts, to celebrate your wins and also give you the much needed advice that you need. So shifting gears once again into matters today. So you can see the watch list right there. So today we're going to be trying to mix and match up the US dollar, the Great British Pound, and the New Zealand dollar with everything on the sell side. So let's see how that ends up going. So we're going to start off with the USD pairs, then move on to the GBPs, then the NZDs, then we're going to finish off with the indices and the commodities as always. So the first one off the line, this is the US dollar against the Swiss franc. For this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. You can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. So we're expecting hopefully to get some sort of a pullback coming in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that. And you can see that the market just bounced off this region. This was during the London session. You can see that at around 11, that's when the market started to move to the upside. And of course, you can see that there wasn't much in terms of a pullback that we could read, as the market was moving to the upside. So it looks like the buyers are almost getting tired. Hopefully, we do get some proper pullback that we can end up reading. And I'm really hoping that the market possibly pulls back in. So within this region here, this one right here is a bit of a long shot, but like we always keep on pointing out, it's okay to end up having it. I mean, even if the market doesn't come back in within there, it's fine. But at least if it does, then at least you will be ready and you won't be surprised, when the market comes back in within there. So for this one, let's see what happens. Right now, it looks like the market has just broken above and is holding just above this region here. Sometimes this type of setups can be traps. Of course, a lot of people are looking to see whether they can get buying opportunities. And the fact that the price is holding above this region of support here, definitely lots of people are definitely eyeing to see whether they can get some buys, and quite a number also possibly on buys, within this area here. Many stop losses possibly could be within this region here. And there's a probability that the big boys could possibly push the market down, stop out all those people within there, maybe even turn, all those traders to possibly start looking for selling opportunities before the buys do actually end up happening. So hopefully we can get a pullback, we can read. And I'm really hoping the market comes back within here, then possibly we could get some good buying opportunities. In case the market continues to move up high, it's okay. I mean, you can't wait for the pullback to come in. It's always best to actually always wait for the pullback to come in. So let's see what happens, but also remember the red SNR. In case the market breaks and holds beneath that region to the downside, then unfortunately at that point in time, there will be no trade for us. So the next one, this is the euro against the US dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. Clearly, you can see the three areas that was possibly timing to see whether we could have gotten the pullbacks coming in. But unfortunately, the pullbacks just didn't come in. I think the USDs yesterday were quite strong. Something similar that you can see on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. The pullbacks were not really coming in. So that tells us that the USD must have been pretty strong. So in the morning, price was here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the price coming back in within there, but it did break to the downside, gave a very small pullback back within this region before the journey continued to the downside. So Let's see today we can get something we can't read. So these are the three areas that I will be watching out to see whether I can get some selling opportunities. Hopefully we can get some sort of a pullback or proper pullback that you can read. Right now, the market is down within a region of support. It's a horrible idea to look for selling opportunities right now. You could easily end up going head on with the buyers who are sitting somewhere within this region here. At least if we can't get the market coming back up, hopefully maybe during the London session. I mean, at least even if price comes back in somewhere within here, even if it comes shy of this area right here, then it's still fine. But of course, the closer we can get it, within this region right here, the better, so that at least we'll end up having more risk to reward to play with to the downside. So just make sure that you take note of that. Of course, remember the region at the top, bit of a long shot, but easily could find the market back in within that. I mean, if the big boys do need that price, then definitely price will be coming back in within there. But alternatively, in case you don't get the pullback, let's see if we can get the market breaking to the downside. If it does, then at least on the pullback, you could ideally end up waiting to see whether you can get the market coming back in within here. And at least this sell within here is way less riskier than actually trying to attempt the sells here. So let the big boys do the hard task of breaking this level, then just wait for the pullback. Like I always mention, give yourself the soft life as far as trading goes. So just make sure that you always do wait for the pullback. So the next one, this is the US dollar against Japanese yen. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. So I had pointed out maybe you could find the market attempting to come down, maybe come back up, bounce off this region and possibly move to the upside. Unfortunately, it came shy of this area here. But you can see that today during the Asian session, that's when the market has technically come back in within this region right here. So let's see what happens. The levels are the same, since you can't see that the market has not really gone far and beyond the regions that I had pointed out yesterday. So that means that we're more or less focusing on the same areas. You can see some sort of big buyers who've started to show up within this region here. Definitely a sign of the big boy buyers coming in. But let's see if we can get, that last push of the sellers coming back in, within this region here, hopefully. And we'll just keep our fingers crossed. If we can't get something like that, or the market coming back in somewhere as close as possible within this region, at least we could possibly try and see whether we can get some proper buying opportunities within this area right here. And of course, targeting the region at the top. Watch out also for some regions within here. You can see that the market has stopped and turned within that area a number of times. So that tells us, or that should tell you, that there are definitely some sellers who are sitting within that area. So you can't possibly end up starting to manage your trades somewhere within this region, even as the market approaches this region right here. So watch out for that. Also remember the region at the bottom. It's a bit of a long shot, but I mean, in case the market does come back in within that region, we're still going to be looking for buys, for as long as it's holding above the red SNR. So just make sure that you're also watching out for that region. So the next one, this is the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. So it was either the market to break above, bounce off this region to look for the buying opportunities. And you can see that's exactly what the market did. So it broke to the upside, held above here, bounced off this region and went a bit higher, all the way to within that area there. But it seems that the market is now stuck within this region here. And that's the reason why we have adjusted our levels accordingly. So this is the area at the top, which is the conservative region. Let's see what happens. If we can get some sort of a pushback, the sellers coming down, possibly pushing the market back in within this region here, maybe we could get some good buying opportunities within this area here, thinking there's a possibility that could happen. But of course, also looking at how the buyers have come in. If you look at the aggression that they've pushed the market into this region with, there's a high probability also the market could maybe break to the upside. If it does, then at least let's just wait and see how far they can go. If we get the pullback, then at least we could look for the buys. So possibly we could get something similar to what happened within this region here. So just make sure that you watch out for that. But of course, right now, just give the seller the benefit of doubt. You never know what could happen. I mean, we're approaching the London market open in about an hour and a half or so at around 11. So you could find the London big boys pushing the market down. then price could be back in within this area, maybe at around 4, 5:30. And you could find that during the US session, the market could actually end up picking up from within this region. So let's see what happens. And of course, remember the region at the bottom, at least that's the aggressive area. That's going to be the last area where we will be trying to see whether we can get our last buying opportunities. So the next one, and the last USD pair, is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, I'm going to be eyeing to see whether I can get some selling opportunities. So you can see the levels are the same as yesterday. So aggressive conservative, semi-aggressive conservative. Here in the morning, price was somewhere within this area. I was really hoping to get the price coming back in within this region here. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Like we always say, we're not prophets on the charts. We just analyze to the best of our ability, but the Forex market has a mind of its own. So unfortunately, the big boys decided that price was not going to happen. So you can see that the market started to come down, somehow held within this region. But today, during the Asian session, you can see that the market has actually broken to the downside of this region. But remember that it's never a breach until we see the hole after the breach. So the market has just broken. We're seeing some attempts of the sellers to actually maintain the price beneath this region to the downside. But let's see what happens. You could find that at least if the market attempts, and we do get a proper attempt of the market maybe coming back in, maybe during the London session, and we visually still see that the market is holding beneath that region to the downside, I think at that point in time, we could look for sells. But be very careful. I'm not really a fan personally of the conservative entries, because sometimes what happens, you see, like for this one, the market has been coming down. The whole world can definitely see, hundreds of millions of traders across the globe can definitely see that the market is coming down. So very many people are definitely chasing the sells when the market is down within this region. So in case the market does come back in within this area right here, and we get some aggression of the buyers, and the market actually holds within here, there's a high probability the sells would not be happening off here. So you could find the market either coming back in within here, and reason being, of course, it will end up going for much better prices than that. And you could find that maybe during the US session, after the market comes back up all the way till within this area, maybe during the London session, that's when the sales could possibly end up happening. And I really hope that that does end up being the case, because, if we do get the sales higher up, then at least the risk to reward also ends up becoming much better, because we have way more room to actually end up playing this to the downside. So let's see what happens on this one. Of course, also the AUDs are showing a lot of weakness. So maybe even that pullback that I'm thinking about might also be some wishful thinking, but let's just wait and see what does end up happening. So that's pretty much it in terms of the USDs. So we're going to move on to the GBP pairs right now. So we're going to mix and match them up with everything on the sell side. So we're going to start off with the Great British Pound against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. And you can see the three regions that I had pointed out right there. So in the morning, price was here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the market just coming back in all the way till we did here, but you can see that the market went up and got into some sort of a crazy mess within this region right here. A serious fight is going on between the buyers and the sellers. And you can see that during the Asian session, the sellers have actually managed to push the market back in within this region here. So maybe we could get some proper buys maybe happening during the London session on this one today. Let's see what happens, but we definitely do need to see a slowdown of the sellers who are coming in within here. Maybe you could find that the market might attempt to go to the downside. If we get the market coming back in within here and get something like that, hopefully, I think we should be able to get some good buying opportunities on this one. Also, remember there are quite a number of GBP news events that are going to be coming out today. So really interested to see what does end up happening on this one. So you can see some unemployment news events, also some speech that's going to be happening later. So let's generally see what happens during the London market open. So we could find some good buy. Also remember the region at the bottom right there. That's going to be the last area where we will be trying to see whether we can get aggressive in our last buying opportunities. So the next one, this is the euro against the Great British Pound. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So we knew the market was going to come down, but we definitely needed to see the pullbacks. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen. So you can see that price was here, broke to the downside. We couldn't get the pullback coming in within that region, continued coming down, but you can see that the pullback came in, started to come in yesterday from the US session, coming into the Asian session. You can see that that's when the pullback is coming in. So for this one, let's see what happens. The levels are the same. So we could find, hopefully, the market tapping back in within there. We could get a proper sell coming down to within this region right here. So at least we could possibly end up having about 26 pips or thereabout to play with. So let's see what happens. But remember, it's also dependent on whether the big boy sellers also show up within this region. So it's not just a matter of the fact that price is back in within a resistance area, you should be taking a sell. You also generally need to also see and read the pullback that's happening. And you can see that the buyers are still coming up, making those higher highs and higher lows. At least if we can see them slow down within this region, then at least we could possibly end up trying to see whether we could get some sells. So watch out for that. Also remember to watch out for the times. Like we keep on pointing out, 11, 4, 5:30. Could get some good opportunities within those times. And no matter what you do, always make sure that you do trade with a stop loss. So, and always stick within your risk parameters at all times. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the Japanese yen. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So in the morning, price was here. Wanted to see the market maybe calm down, maybe attempt to go to the downside. The big boys showed up. Then after that, it's like they disappeared because you can't see that the market, in as much as it was holding within this region here, you can't see that the bars were really attempting to break free of this area right here. But unfortunately, these sellers who are sitting within this region were definitely giving issues. And you can't see that they eventually did actually push the market to the downside, moving into the Asian session today. So for this one, the levels have been adjusted, of course, based on the story of price. Let's see what happens. The sellers have come in quite aggressive with this move coming down. But let's see if the buyers within this region can actually contain them. Maybe they might need to actually end up attempting to go a bit much lower before they actually do fully come out of their sell orders and possibly start to build, orders in terms of, going to the upside or for the buy orders. Then after that, maybe we could get the market moving to the upside. So let's see if that ends up being the case. But I'm thinking there's a high probability it might do that, just to even slow down and to mark the end of these sellers who have really calmed down, because the market just doesn't turn very fast, especially when it comes within a level quite fast. You will find some sort of a fight going on within here, some spikes and stuff. Guys who are in on early buys, definitely just watch out. You could easily end up getting stopped out within this region. At least if we can get the market holding above here, then we should be good to go in terms of buys. Could target all the way high up there, or however high you want to target, but just make sure that you also do manage and watch out for these regions right here. Definitely areas where you can manage your trades. And also for the guys who are very good at trading, also those are regions where you could potentially also end up scaling in as well. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So these are the three areas I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. Either we're going to get price breaking above here to look for the buys on the pullback. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Or maybe the market coming back in within here for us to look for the buys. So the market came back in within here. But unfortunately, you can't see that there was no sign of any big boy buyers within this region. And as much as price was within a support region, and you can't see that the market did break to the downside, and it's like the sellers just continued pushing down. So for this one, unfortunately, yesterday, there were no buying opportunities. Today, let's see if we will end up getting any. And you can see that the market has already broken beneath the aggressive area, which tells us that we should be on standby. But remember, for as long as price is holding beneath here, there's no trade for us. So the best thing you can do is actually set an alert here, so that in case the market does come back in to the upside of this area, because that's what we want to see. Maybe the market could just be inciting some sellers to actually come in and maybe to mark, the end of this move coming down. So since we're not too sure about it, we'll just have to wait. But also on the other hand, you don't really need to keep watching out for something like this. All you need to do is just set an alert and forget about it. If the alert goes off, then at least you can actually watch out and see what happens. If the alert doesn't go off, then you don't really need to focus too much on this one. So let's see what happens on this one, but you also can't be surprised that the market can come back into the upside. We've seen many of those scenarios before, countless times, where something looks like it's off the watch list, but later on, you find that it actually ends up being the best performing currency pair for the day. So let's just wait and see what does end up happening on that one. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the Australian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could get buys. So you can see the three regions right here that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was somewhere within here. So we generally wanted to see price at least come back in somewhere within this region right here. Then maybe try to see whether we could get some buys. But the market came back in, but you can't see that the buyers were nowhere to be seen. Today, they somehow started to show up, but not fully. So let's see what does end up happening. The levels are the same. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for. You can generally see that the market is still being contained within the same regions. It's not really gone far and beyond the areas that we're watching out for yesterday. Let's see if maybe the buyers will possibly regroup within this region right here. Maybe they possibly need those buyers somewhere within there. Maybe when the market taps in within that region, comes back into the upside, then at that point in time, I'll be timing to see whether I can get some sort of a buying opportunity on this one. So watch out for that. Also remember the region at the bottom. I mean, if the market comes back in all the way till within there, then at least we should also be ready for that as well. But remembering that's the last area where we will be trying to see whether we can get our aggressive buys. So that's pretty much it in terms of the GBPs. So right now we're going to move on to the NZD pairs. I'm going to do the same, mix and match them up with everything on the sell side. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So this is a new entrant on our watch list. So we'll be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on this one. So watch out for these three areas right here. So let's see if we can get the market at least coming back in somewhere as close as possible within here, at least to try to see whether we can get some proper buys. In terms of looking for the buys right now, this is a bit too close to this region right here. And I mean, you only have about 5 pips. It's not really worth a chase. So you're better off either waiting for price to break above here to the upside. If we do break above this region to the upside, and hopefully it does end up breaking strong, then on the pullback, we still can't get the buys. But give these sellers somewhere within this region the benefit of doubt. At least if the market does come back in within this region here, or maybe even lower, all the way till within here, then at least the better in terms of looking for your buying opportunities. So let's just wait and see what does end up happening on that one. So the next one, this is the euro against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, also a new entrant on our watch list. We'll be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. So these are the three areas we have mapped out. For the sake of guys who are new to trading and you're wondering why is it that we're selling this one when we're buying the other one, it's because you always have to take care of where the New Zealand dollar is or the base of whatever it is that we're watching out for buys. So you see, like, for example, since for this one, we're looking at NZDs. On the first one, the NZD was on the left. So it's the base currency pair. On this one, it's on the right. So it's the counter currency pair. So by selling the euro automatically and simultaneously, we end up buying the New Zealand dollar, which is exactly what we should be doing. So for this one, these are the three areas we will be watching out for. Right now, in terms of looking for the sells, it's not a really good idea. Let's wait and see if we can get the market either breaking to the downside of this region. If we can end up getting that breach, then the market pulls back in within there, at least some nice choppy pullback coming back in, then that should be good. We should get some good sells within there. If not, and the buyers do end up reacting off that area, then you could find the market back within somehow as close as possible within this region here, maybe during the US session. So you could find some proper sales happening then. So watch out for that. Also remember the region at the top. In case the market goes all the way there, then at least we should be aware that that's going to be the last area where we will be trying to see whether we can get our last selling opportunities. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list this morning. So we will be trying to see whether we can get buys on this one. Bear in mind that the New Zealand dollar is back to the left. So it's the base currency pair. The market has pulled back in within this region. We're starting to see signs of the big boy buyers showing up, which is good. Hopefully we could get the market lifting off this region here, maybe during the London session. If that does happen, then at least this could be quite a decent trade. So we're looking at about 40 pips or thereabout, which is not too bad. But also remember, you don't really want to be hitting your buys right now. I know there are many guys who are possibly seeing this and they're like, I think it's a good time to hit the buy. It might not be because the market is just back in within this SNR right here. You could find that the market could react, come back in within here, and at least you should be waiting to first see what does happen on this next safer, because I know that there are guys who are quite aggressive on the charts. Maybe in case the market breaks above this region to the upside and holds above here, possibly you could actually end up trying to see whether you could get some buys, within this region here. But you also need to be a real sniper on the charts, just to make sure that you actually get some proper risk to reward on that trade. So watch out for the region at the bottom. I mean, in case the market comes back in within there, then you should also be ready for that as well. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list. So we will be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on this one as well. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for. So hopefully we could get the big boy buyers possibly showing up. Right now, you can see that the market is pretty dead right now. So no buyers, no sellers. I mean, just some sort of a mess that's going on within that region. But you could find that maybe, hopefully, we could get maybe the market coming in somewhere as close as possible within here. We could possibly end up getting some good buying opportunities within this region, somewhere within here. Or in case the market breaks above this region to the upside, then we could look for the buys. So hopefully the market comes back in within here. I think some good buys could possibly be somewhere within this region here. And of course, just to end up breaking the tie between what's happening here, because there's a crazy fight that's going on, maybe between the buyers and the sellers, the retail buyers and sellers. The big boys are very quiet. That's the reason why the market is going sideways. Maybe, hopefully, if it does come back down within here, that could definitely end up inciting a number of sellers to possibly start coming in before the buyers do actually end up picking up and pushing the market to the upside. So hopefully, let's see if we could get some good buying opportunities on that one. So last but not least, we do have the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list. So for this one, we will be trying to see whether we could get some selling opportunities. Bear in mind that the New Zealand dollar is back to the right on this one. So, I mean, the best currency on this one is the Australian dollar. We should be selling that. And simultaneously, if we do end up doing that, then at least we will be buying the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, let's see if we can get either the market breaking beneath this region to the downside. In terms of chasing the sales now, might not really be too good. You could easily end up losing cash. So you're better off either waiting for the market to break to the downside or possibly just giving these buyers the benefit of doubt. If the market does bounce off this region to the upside, hopefully we could get the market coming back in somewhere within this region here or somewhere within here. But also bearing in mind, like I pointed out, the Australian dollar pairs are extremely weak. So maybe even the deep pullbacks that we're really expecting on the Australian dollar pairs might not really end up coming to fruition. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what does end up happening. So that's pretty much it in terms of all the currency pairs. So for the sake of guys who are joining us a bit late, feel free to take note of that. So we're going to move on to the indices and the commodities, and there's no change on that front. So we'll start off with the NAS 100. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So as long as we're holding above here, then the buyers should have been to look for buying opportunities. And you can see that in the morning price was somewhere within here. And I pointed out that it wasn't the best of times to look for your buying opportunities. And in case there are any people who looked for buys when the market was high up within here, I really pity them, because you can see that the sellers within here really reacted quite aggressively. And the reaction was not, or should have not really been a surprise, because we were just holding beneath, a region of resistance. So the sellers came in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get anything to tell us to look for buys within there. You can see that the market more or less came down back in within this region, right? And you can see that the sellers have started to slow down, or rather the buyers came in and the sellers right now have started to slow down within this region here. So for this one, the levels are the same. Let's see if we can get the market coming back in somewhere within this region here. At least we can see that there's a fight that's going on within here, especially based on the fact that the buyer stepped in within this region. Right now, we have some sort of a small range that's happening within here. You can actually get the market maybe coming in somewhere as close as possible within here. I think we could possibly end up getting some good buying opportunities. But also remember, considering the fact that we are just holding beneath a region of resistance, this might not really be a good area for you in terms of looking for the buying opportunities. So you're better off waiting for price to break above here. If it does, at least we could try and see whether we could get some good buying opportunities here. So this buy right here will definitely give you lesser issues than actually attempting buys when the market is holding beneath this resistance area right here. So make sure that you do actually end up watching out for that. But remember the red SNR, like I pointed out, the indices and the commodities, that's the NAS 100, the Dow Jones, silver and gold. For those ones who are fully technical, for as long as we're holding above the red SNR, we should be looking for buys. If we go beneath and hold beneath the red SNR, then at that point in time, our bias does actually end up shifting. So moving on into the next one, which is the US 30 or the Dow Jones or the WS 30 on MT5. So for this one, yesterday the bias was to try to see whether we could get some buying opportunities. So you can't see the three areas that I had pointed out. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the market pulling back in within here. When it broke above here, it seemed like the break was quite weak and we couldn't get the pullback coming in. But you can't see that during the US session, it's like the buyers really stepped in, and the market really picked up a lot of steam, moving to the upside. We have some sort of a choppy, messy pullback coming in, which is what we love to see. So right now, the market is just coming back in within this region. So let's see if hopefully we could get the market moving, off this area right here. Hopefully, we do get a sign of the big boy bars showing up. Right now, in as much as we're back within a region of support, there isn't any evidence, of the big boy buyers just yet. So hopefully, if they do end up showing up within here, then possibly we could get some good buying opportunities. There's a probability and a high possibility that we could get, this one maybe moving, maybe during, especially the Dow Jones and the NAS 100, maybe moving during the US session. During the London session, if there's really nothing that's going to be happening there, then at least you also should be a bit more understanding, considering the fact that they're pegged on the USD. So maybe they will be waiting for that session to actually end up making a move. So the next one, this is silver. Now, for silver yesterday, the bars was to try to see whether we could get sells. So remember the red SNR was high up within this region here. For as long as we're holding beneath that region, the bars was to look for selling opportunities. In the morning, price was here. Wanted to see some sort of a pullback, at least coming back in somewhere within this area. It just came shy of that area, and you can't see that the sellers really pushed the market to the downside, and they're still pushing even right now. So for this one, the bars is still to look for sells. And we'll be waiting to see what does end up happening, because you can't see that the region at the bottom seems to have been breached. But remember that it's never a breach until we do actually end up getting a hold to the downside. So right now the market has just broken, but remember what we need to see is the hold, especially when the market pulls back in within here and we get evidence that the market is holding to the downside. Because in case the market comes back, holds to the upside of this area, then that means that there's a probe to the downside. And that means that there are definitely buyers who are sitting there. You could find the market maybe coming back in within this region or somewhere within here. And I mean, for the guys who are really good at trading, if you can end up getting some sort of a smart counter, then that's okay. But also remember, you can't be overly ambitious, because maybe the market might just come back in, maybe within here, or maybe even somewhere within this region here, because generally the sellers are still in control. You could find that they could step in, at any given point in time without any warning, and you don't want to end up getting caught wrong-footed. So just make sure that you also do have that at the back of your mind. So let's see what happens on this one. Either the market could possibly end up coming back in within there. There are quite a number of levels, like I'm pointing out within there, but I think if the pullback does end up coming in a bit deeper, there's a possibility we could get, the market coming back in somewhere within here. There's some sort of an SNR within that area that, once the market broke to the downside, it really never came back to. You could find some sort of a retest, just coming back in within that area. So last but not least, we do have gold. Now for gold, yesterday, the bars was to try to see whether we could get some sells. And you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the pullback coming in within that region there. So it was either the market to break beneath here and possibly try to see whether we could get sells. The market broke to the downside quite aggressively and really moved to the downside without really giving much in terms of a pullback. So we're still hoping to possibly end up getting some sort of a pullback. And right now, you can see that the market is just attempting to break beneath this region to the downside. So just looking at this one and looking at silver as well, you can see that there's some good correlation, that's happening between the two pairs. So in case you do see the market possibly pulling back on one, have a look at the other. At least that should give you the confidence to actually know that, possibly there's something that's happening on both of them. And maybe when you do end up getting a trade on one, you possibly could also end up having a look at the other. Maybe you could even end up taking both, or even if you're going to be taking one, considering the fact that you've looked at the other, that should give you the confidence to tell you that the big boys at least are more or less up to something. And remember, that's the wind that you need behind you to actually move your trade. So just make sure that you do have a look at that. So this one is more or less the same as what we discussed on silver. So it's either the market to come a bit lower, maybe get some sort of a pullback coming in within this region here. Possibly we could get some sell happening on that one. If not, then maybe we could get the market coming back in, bouncing off here. It might just come back in within this region here, but there's a probability if it does come back into the upside of this area, there's an SNR somewhere within here that we could find the market possibly just coming back into tap, and we could find a good selling opportunity happening on this one. So make sure that you do watch out for that. Remember the red SNR at the top. In case the market comes back in within that region, it can. We're still watching out to see whether we can get sales, but if it breaks and holds above that region to the upside, then unfortunately, at that point in time, we will be looking to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So that's pretty much it in terms of everything that we're going to be watching out for. Once again, that's the watch list for today on the economic once again as well. Quite a number of news events that are going to be coming out. So today might be a bit more volatile compared to yesterday. Yesterday, there wasn't really much that was happening, but at least today there's a bit more that's going to be there. So hopefully we should get some proper moves, proper pullbacks, happening on the charts. So I guess it will be an interesting day. I think it's also going to be an interesting 4 years, to be honest. The reason why I say that is because the last time when Trump was in power, the charts used to really move, especially when he tweets something and the markets really used to move. So I guess since it's coming back into power, I think it's possibly going to end up being the same. There's already a lot of optimism that's there on the charts. And I mean, just due to the fact that he was announced that he actually won, you could see that most things have actually moved. The NAS 100, breaking highs, the US 30, Bitcoin, for the guys who normally follow Bitcoin, that's also going up higher and higher. So I guess it's going to be another interesting 4 years where you just find the markets just moving. You're looking at the economic calendar. You can't quite find what's making the markets move, only to find out that Trump tweeted something that made the markets move. So we'll see how that ends up going. So let's have a look at the chat box real quick. At least today I'm able to go through it. So I'm seeing Lucy Mwangi there saying good morning. Good morning to you. Ibu Wanyama is saying hello back to you as well. I see Mushake, you're saying good morning. Good to see you here. And also shout out to you on your trade as well. Keep up the good work. I see Peter Washira there. You're saying watch list please for late comers. There it is. So I hope you've taken note of that. So I'm not really seeing anything more, which is okay. Remember, you can also rewatch this broadcast as many times as you want, in case anything is not too clear. And also, you can end up, speeding things up or slowing things down or skipping to whichever part you want to skip to. Maybe you missed out on something. So at least you also do have that provision. So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, if you do get any trades, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details are there on the video description. And of course, if you're having any challenges, also feel free to reach out to us and we'll see how best we can end up helping you. So with that, happy trading, guys. Bye for now. May the peace be with you. God bless.